Today, I'm going to talk about 3 receivers you do not want to touch in this year's draft when you're drafting your fantasy team. And there are going to be some surprises. But let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want. Whatever you want to do, man. I'm just here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I'm saying? Alright, let's get it started. Alright, we're back. So the first receiver we're going to talk about today is Chris Godwin. And you're like, yo, Steve, what are you talking about? Chris Godwin. He's a guy. He's been a guy. He's so good. He's so talented. His girlfriend's stupid hot. And you know what? You were right on all those things, man. But what we're missing with Chris Godwin is a quarterback. Now, Baker might be able to run a team offense. But can he run 2 fantasy receivers in the top 20? Probably not. And Mike Evans probably would be their number 1 guy still. Because he's just easier to throw to. He's bigger. And Baker just throws ducks. So you just want to throw the ducks to the biggest guys you can, right? But also, I think Tampa's going to go more run heavy and give a break to Baker or potentially Kyle Trask, who's probably going to take over midseason when they're 1-7. But yeah, Chris Godwin's a tough pickup to have on your team, right? You generally do not. If you have Chris Godwin as a wide receiver 2, you are struggling in the wide receiver section of your team. It's just, he's healthy this year. He potentially can. He's super talented, but what can his offense do? That's the question. Is Baker Mayfield going to have 2 top 20 wide receivers in fantasy? Let me know. I say no. The next wide receiver I want to talk about is Juju Smith-Schuster. My boy TikTok game on point. But the problem with him is that they expect him to have a better year than he did with Mahomes because he's going to Mac Jones. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you, if you have Juju as your wide receiver 2 or flex option, you are also struggling the same way you are with Chris Godwin. I mean, at most you're looking at, a high of 15 points. Like, that's just going to be his highest ceiling in points per game is 15. Right? And that's like, oh my God, I got a great game by Juju, right? And obviously for your wide receiver 2s, right, you kind of want a T. Higgins who can go get let's say a 35-point game with 2 tutties. And let's say a later round wide receiver 2, like in Calvin Ridley or Christian Kirk. At least those guys have such big upside with their points per game. Like, they can get a 40-point game and win you a whole week. But Juju can't ever win you a week. He might be able to get you 7 points per game, Obviously, Mac Jones struggles passing the ball. And I don't got to be the one to tell you. Let's look at his wide receiver stats. Wide receiver 1, Jacoby Myers last year, 804 yards. Devontae Parker, 539 yards. Kendrick Bourne, 434. Obviously, a lot of these guys are missing time, which affects their numbers. Nelson Aguilar, 362. But they don't pass the ball first. And Mondre Stevens is going to be the focal point of their offense. Juju hasn't proven himself as a number 1 receiver. And even in Kansas City, where he had a lot of freedoms with Mahomes, number 1 was Travis Kelce. He still couldn't perform in a way that was fantasy useful. So I would say do not touch Juju this year. And probably another big surprise pick I would say I wouldn't want to touch is DK Metcalf. But DK, he's 6'5". He can run a 4.2. He's going to get those balls, but he plays small, in my opinion, from what I've seen. And then in terms of fantasy, I think he regresses this year because Tyler Lockett's obviously on the team, but then they added JSN, who's a true slot receiver for Seattle. So those targets that that were going to Tyler and DK are going to come down. I mean, let's look at this. So DK Metcalf, 141 targets last season with 1,048 yards. 6 touchdowns, pretty good, right? But their third receiver got 42 targets with Marquise Goodwin. That's not going to happen again. You draft JSN for a reason. You draft JSN to pass him the ball. And JSN's going to get 80-something targets. But where are those 40 targets going to come from? Right? Say he takes Marquise Goodwin's targets, but where are the other 40 coming from? They come from Noah Fant. Tyler Lockett's going to lose some, and then DK's going to lose some. And obviously, like I said, I think DK plays small. For someone so big, he plays really small. He will get his games where he'll get 2 touchdowns maybe, or he'll get 1 big 60-yard touchdown, which, unless you play with that super bonus points on a 50-yard bonus play, it doesn't matter, right? I just don't see Geno being able to spread the love to 3 wide receivers on the Seattle team. And I think DK's 140 targets drops down to 120 or 111, something in those natures. And then you can get, in that same nature, you can go get Garrett Wilson, who is the true number 1 over in the Jets. And we all know, there's only, I'm new, so I only expect like 1 viewer. So to that 1 viewer, we both know that Garrett Wilson will get all the love from Aaron Rodgers, because the last 17 got all the love too, right? So DK is going to struggle finding a spot on this team if they really want to use JSN like they're supposed to. But those are 3 receivers I think you want to stay away from at their values. I think they're better options. If you're stuck with them, that's okay. But good luck. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Holla at your boy.